Right, hello, welcome to your third learning module. This learning module is all about the food issue related to migrant farm workers. And so you'll have a chance to go through and explore our second ethical orientation this week, which is virtue. And then you'll be able to explore more about the issue related around, I tell everyone that this is an issue that impacts everyone. Even the most off-the-grid person probably still has to go to the grocery store at some point to purchase something, would be my guess. And the reality is most of us purchase a lot of things at our grocery store. And so this issue of migrant farm workers and the way in which they survive, the way in which we treat them, is all going to be things that you will learn about within this specific learning module, and then you'll have the opportunity to tie that back to this ethical orientation of virtue. So embedded within the learning module, you have information that helps inform you on what the meaning of virtue is. So remember, there is a PDF worksheet that's there. As I've mentioned in prior modules, you do want to make sure that you hang on to that or just know how to reference back to that. After we learn about the ethical orientations, there's 5 of them. We will then open it up for the remainder of the semester, and as we explore more food issues, you'll have an opportunity to tie back specific orientations to whatever food issue we're discussing. So you want to be able to know what those definitions are and be able to recall that information throughout the semester. So know that this module is still going to be open, so you can come back and reference that, or you can save off that PDF document so that you have that for future reference. Within this, there's also your checklist, and just pay attention to what that checklist is. So you have about 6 different resources that are going to talk through this issue of migrant farm workers. So there's a nice website that provides kind of an overview of things that you should know related to farm workers, some of their pathways to citizenship, those sorts of things. There's a really fun video in here about a farmer on the Oregon-Idaho border, Shay Myers. I actually remember last year when they put a call out for people to just come pick asparagus because he didn't have any workers there to actually come harvest the asparagus and get it to distribution into the grocery store. And so this is a fun little video highlighting that, fun in the sense that it's the local impact, I would say, of a shortage of laborers, not fun in the sense that this is an issue that farmers are having to deal with. And then some things related to just challenges around COVID and how that impacted the labor market and what that led to in terms of our food supply and those sorts of things. This website, I would definitely encourage you to click on this. You will notice on this website, there's little tabs at the very top, and that's how I would encourage you to navigate through this website. I've told you within the checklist what you need to actually pay attention to in that website, and I've tried to embed some of those videos for you, but just know that you can navigate through that at the very top of this specific website. And then there's a TED Talk in here related to some information really centered around women migrant workers and just some of the situations and things that they face as workers within the United States. So then like normal, you do have your quiz for the week. I do want to tell you that your quiz, if you've not figured this out yet, there's usually plenty of time on the quiz to be able to complete it. I have no issue with students having multiple tabs open, so if you need to go back and reference the information, that's not a big deal. And you should have plenty of time to be able to do that. And I do also, if you're looking for little tips and tricks, the quiz goes in order of the material. So as you're working through those questions, the questions are pulled directly from the information within that learning module. So it should be no surprise There's no like trick questions or anything like that. It's all pulled directly from the information that's embedded within the learning module. And then this week you have your weekly discussion board. So it's obviously all centered around the issue of migrant farm workers and this idea of virtue. Remember that in order to create a discussion board, you do have to make your post first, and then you have access to your peers' posts. So you are addressing these 5 specific questions, and then you will go back in and make sure that you're responding to your peers. I've said this a few times, and I was grading assignments just a few days ago, and I just want to reiterate once again, in order to get full credit in either of these discussion boards, so your discussion board that's related to the topic or your current event discussion board, you want to make sure that A, you're following the posting guidelines. So you're answering all of the questions, you're providing thoughtful responses to those questions, and then you're coming back and you're replying to your peers. This is called a discussion board. So in an online class, we try to facilitate discussion because we don't meet face-to-face to actually be able to facilitate that conversation. So I really encourage you, when you're replying to your peers, to think about how you would further facilitate that discussion. So think about the points that your peers are making. Think about the things that you've learned about, and then let's try to blend those things together. So in your response, ask thoughtful questions. Have you considered this? Why did you feel this way? Tell me more about this. A thoughtful response isn't 3 sentences that say, that's great, period. I agree with you, period. Thanks for sharing. That doesn't really elaborate on anything associated with the issue we're discussing, and really doesn't contribute to what I would say is this online environment and this culture that we're trying to create, where we really are discussing these food issues. That's where you really do gain, I would say, that perspective and understanding where other people are coming from and how you can contribute to the conversation in a thoughtful and meaningful manner. So make sure that you're really thinking about how you're making that initial post, but then just equally as important is how you're coming back and responding to your peers. So with that, that is your week 3 learning module. I do just want to take a step back and say thank you for working through that second learning module associated with antibiotics and the use of antibiotics in really livestock, right? I would say that for a while we were kind of in the buzzword was antibiotic free. Like if you went out and looked at labels in the grocery store, there was a lot of stuff that said antibiotic free. We're no longer using antibiotics, those sorts of things. And I think that sort of created a lot of confusion for consumers. And so hopefully what you learned in your week 2 learning module associated with the history of antibiotic use, right? And then how we arrived at this, why did we become so hypersensitive to this idea that antibiotics were in our food system? And then how we've really tried to hopefully work towards solving that. And certainly there's 2 sides to that issue. There's people that do not purchase certain things in the grocery store because of that. And there's certainly people that now feel I'm more educated on the issue and I can now make an informed decision when I go to the grocery store. So hopefully you enjoyed navigating through that and then applying that ethical orientation of egoism to that. So with that, I will say have a fantastic week. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help.